When Madame Pompadour was on a ballroom floor, said, oh, the gentleman, obviously.
Hollywood publicity departments labeled her the Ping Girl because that was the apparent noise a man's heart made when he saw her due to her stunning appearance. The American fighting forces during World War II idolized her as the Blonde Bomber, GI Goddess, and Pride of the Yanks. She was Hollywood's glamorous patriot, Carole Landis. From 1939 through the end of 1941, this beautiful young lady was quickly making a name for herself, honing her skills in front of the cameras in Hollywood's dream factories and posing for many glamour shots, both of which were gaining her much attention.
That she knew how to use her personality, so girly, just developed
Certainly obliged to you, men.
It is nothing, senor.
Glad to give you a hand, neighbor.
My name is Kansas Jones. This is my daughter, June, my son, Tim. We're planning on taking up a homestead in Wood River Valley.
Well, I'm glad to meet you. I'm Stony Brook. These odd-looking gents are Rusty Jocelyn and Ronaldo.
Glad to know you.
How do you do?
It is a great pleasure to meet one so charming as you, senorita. Miss Jones, don't believe anything he says.
We wore GI boots and long-drawered Union suits. Sunday, Monday, and always we miss that dance.
There's something in the air that warns me to beware tonight. There's something in the air. There's music in the breeze. I never saw the stars so bright. There's something in the air. Though I find there's danger in your eyes, the thrill is new. The glow of sunset in the summer sky, the golden flicker of the firefly, the gleam of love light in your lovely eyes. These are the things I love. A silver moonbeam peeping through the trees, a bed of tulips nodding in the breeze, the look you give in answer to my pleas. These are the things I love. My Superman is tall and tan, and you're just 5'2". But right now, baby, I'll settle for you. I'd rather. Why bring up our love affair? It happened, it's over, let's forget it. Tears won't get us anywhere. It happened, it's over, let's forget it.
Suddenly, America was brought into the horrors of global conflict against fierce, determined foes hell-bent on world domination.
Pearl Harbor, December the 7th, 1941.
The day after the attack on Pearl Harbor, President Franklin D. Roosevelt declared war on the Empire of Japan on December 8, 1941. And 3 days later, on Thursday, December 11, 1941, the United States was officially at war with Germany and Italy, as well as Japan.
Infamous alliance, the Axis Military Pact of 1940. Germany and Italy, who had plunged Europe into war, became fully united with Japan in the strategy of terror.
界史の第1ページを飾るべき歴史的な会見が行われ
As Axis powers were dominating regions of the globe, the United States began gearing up to fight a two-front war.
Typical of the speed with which great American industrial plants have been converted to war is this arms factory somewhere in Midwestern United States. A year ago, these girls made automobile tires. Today, they inspect some of the 1,500 precision parts that go into the making of Bofors anti-aircraft guns. From sub-assembly lines, workmen once skilled in production for peace are now breaking records manufacturing weapons for war. U.S. improvements in construction have reduced costs 25%. Welded parts have taken the place of rivets. The time to produce each unit has been cut by nearly a third. Flexible to handle, the 40mm mobile Bofors can fire from any angle, from vertical to horizontal. Its barrel moves fast enough to follow a plane diving 500 miles an hour. Leaving the factory for shipment to United Nations battlefronts halfway around the world. The completed gun, credited with being the most effective weapon in the defense of London during the 1940 Battle of Britain, is now rolling from U.S. assembly lines at the rate of thousands every month.
Hollywood got involved, doing its part to help the war effort.
The country has asked the people to invest $1 billion in 1 month to help pay for the war. And here's the start of the drive. Boarding a special train for Washington, they'll tour 300 cities from coast to coast. Go to any city that agrees to subscribe at least $1 million. Yes, in democratic America, everybody is doing his bit. There goes Jimmy Stewart on his way to enlist. One of the most popular stars on the screen. Joining the Air Force as a private, Jimmy has now won promotion. Today, he's Lieutenant Stewart, USA. A movie star of modern times is sworn into service. Tyrone Power, hero of many a daring exploit on the silver screens of the world. He'll now play his greatest role as a Leatherneck Marine.
Born Frances Ridstey on January 1st, 1919, she looked to change her name once in Hollywood, like so many have done before her, for a more Hollywood-friendly sounding name. Carole Lombard was one of Landis's favorite film stars and was one of Hollywood's top comedians. She was also the wife of superstar actor Clark Gable. She then adopted her new first name in honor of Lombard and looked over countless ideas for her new last name and stumbled upon Landis and thought it went very well along with Carole. The two names seemed to go together perfectly, and the world would forever know her as Carole Landis. Unfortunately, one of Hollywood's iconic love affairs only lasted a few precious years, as Miss Lombard gave her life for the war effort after the airplane she was flying in crashed on January 16, 1942, after she appeared at a war bond rally. She was only 33 years old at the time of her tragic demise. On the cusp of major stardom, the lovely Miss Landis quickly joined the war effort. In fact, even before the United States felt the winds of war, she was busy doing her part. She immediately established herself as one of the most influential Hollywood figures to get behind the war effort. Every day of the week saw Carole busy with some organization. She worked with bundles for Blue Jackets or served coffee and donuts to soldiers, and also danced and played poker with them at local service clubs in the Los Angeles area. She worked with the Aerial Nurse Corps, took rifle practice, and attended Red Cross classes. Carole had so many uniforms from all the organizations that she belonged to that she kept the uniforms in her car so she could quickly change into them as she rushed to meetings from film studios. She even allowed her Santa Monica beach house to be used by soldiers as a retreat before heading off to overseas military duty. And if that wasn't enough, Miss Landis donated blood to help wounded soldiers. Needless to say, with her striking good looks and amazing figure, Carole quickly rose to elite status among the American fighting forces as a top pinup girl.
Hello. I suppose some of you are wondering what I'm doing here. Well, you see, some of you fellows have written to me and requested a real good pinup picture of me in nothing but a bathing suit. So, here I am. Oh, I have a lot of other bathing suits at home, but the photographer told me you would like this one the best. Because I'm a pin-up girl. That's what they name me, pin-up girl. You've all embraced me. I'm your dream, your gay mirage. Many eyes have sweetly faced me. I am yours for tax or pins or mucilage.
And yes, even her famous sigh was at the top of the soldiers' request list.
Tonight want just a sigh. Signed Jimmy, Doc, and Big Mac somewhere in the South Pacific. Okay, fellas, don't forget your promise. Carole Landis will now sigh. The sigh that was heard round the world. Thank you, Miss Carole Landis.
Carole Landis also traveled to over 250 military bases in the United States, which was the most by a Hollywood actress during World War II. She never declined a soldier's request and managed to dance with 200 soldiers in a single day, sing 15 songs, and sign 1,000 autographs in just 3 days at Camp Bowie in Texas.
There's about 35,000 of us guys out here at Mare Island. We're working 24 hours a day, fixing up busted ships and building new ones. Talk about your total war effort. Brother, we got it here at Mare Island.
Monday, August 17th, direct from the gigantic Mare Island Navy Yard just outside of San Francisco, California, Glomo Salsa brings you another exciting broadcast of Vox Pop, the voice of the people. And now, here are your two Vox Poppers, Warren Hall and that lovely Hollywood star who's again pinch hitting for Parks Johnson, Miss Carole Landis. Pinch hitting for Parks, well, Carole, after last week's program, I'd say you do in a pinch.
Well, thanks, partner. I think you're cute, too, but right now I have a handsome young sailor here at the microphone, and...
Yeah, I get it. Never let it be said that Hull stood in the way of the Navy. Take over, Carole.
On February 4th, 1941, 10 months before the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United Service Organizations was founded at the request of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Commonly called the USO, its purpose was to provide morale and recreation services to United States military personnel. It allowed soldiers to have the feeling of having a home away from home. Hollywood jumped at the chance to help out by volunteering their time to travel to military bases in the United States and around the world. When it was finally announced that entertainers could embark on overseas tours, Carole Landis immediately jumped at the chance. She so wanted to be a part of that first tour group, but unfortunately, Carole was working on the motion picture The Powers Girl at the time and could not get clearance to go. Instead of Carole Landis being a part of the first theatrical task force to go overseas, due to her film commitment, stage and film legend Al Jolson, along with actress Merle Oberon, went over to England on a 60-day tour beginning in August of 1942. Unfortunately, Jolson acted very temperamental and entitled. When he wanted to put on a show for the general public, Oberon told him that they were there for the troops, not the public. Jolson became angry and went home, even though the tour was to extend to North Africa. That part of the tour was then canceled, and the next troupe was sent to head out with Carole ready to go and nothing was going to stop her after getting the approval from film studios 20th Century Fox and United Artists. Finally, after she was finished with The Powers Girl, Miss Landis got her wish to entertain troops in Europe and Africa from October 1942 to February 1943, along with Kay Francis, Martha Raye, and Mitzi Mayfair. Kay Francis was one of the top dramatic actresses in 1930s Hollywood and was the #1 female star at Warner Brothers Studios during that time. Francis performed more as the master of ceremonies for the other 3 stars on the tour and was in charge of the troupe. Martha Raye was one of Hollywood's top comedians at the time and performed not only in motion pictures, but on the Broadway stage and on radio. With the exception of a few short films, Mitzi Mayfair never appeared in a major motion picture up to the time of this tour. She was an attractive, athletic dancer and appeared on the Broadway stage numerous times. She was a very fluid dancer and was able to make her legs go in all types of directions, such as sideways and touching the back of her head with her kicks. And so, with Kay Francis setting up the acts, Martha Raye singing and telling jokes, Mitzi Mayfair dancing, and Carole Landis singing and telling stories, these 4 ladies set out on a 5-month tour of Europe and North Africa. They became known as the 4 Jills and were the only all-female troupe to go overseas, and they refused any special treatment, preferring to go mingle with the troops, eat with them, and endure much inconvenience to make sure the troops were entertained. Carole even had to have her appendix removed while in England, but that did not slow her down, and she was back at performing in no time. The 4 Jills were shot at by enemy planes and had to run for cover during bombings, survived over a dozen air raids, and had their plane attacked by a German aircraft. Once the 4 Jills were over in North Africa, they wanted to get as close to the front lines as possible, but were told by a colonel that it was totally out of the question. Undaunted by the answer they got, these feisty ladies had their request go all the way up to the Supreme Allied Commander of the European campaign, Dwight D. Eisenhower. General Eisenhower approved the request, but there were still problems in the transportation aspect of the plan. That was until another general, Medal of Honor winner Jimmy Doolittle, stepped in to officially save the day. He told Carole and the other Jills that he would fly them himself with a fighter plane escort. Carole Landis felt that no sacrifice was too great to give back to the fighting forces that sacrificed so much more. They were then off to the front. They changed outfits in pup tents, then performed in the sweltering heat of North Africa on an airplane trailer with 2-inch rivets sticking up all over it. Poor Mitzi Mayfair had it the toughest because she had to try and dance between them, but she did it to perfection. All during the festivities, Allied fighter planes circled the area to protect the ladies and the audience from enemy bullets.
Transports like these over North Africa have carried all kinds of cargoes: men, ammunition, tractors, jeeps. But when they landed one particular load into a chow line outside Algiers, you could have knocked the men over with a sweater. Direct from Hollywood came Carole Landis, Martha Raye, and Kay Francis. Mitzi Mayfair was on the sick list temporarily, but the others mixed with the men between performances to refresh their memories as to what they're fighting for. If the GIs look a little self-conscious, figure how you'd feel more than 3,000 miles from home, right alongside your favorite star and all holds barred. It was a great job these girls did, traveling by air in bad weather, braving enemy fire to give countless performances for men at the battlefronts, improvising routines when one or more would collapse under the strain, until finally, only Martha Raye was permitted by Army doctors to continue the strenuous schedule.
They also used the back of flatbed trucks as stages. They got covered in mud and sand, even helped treat wounded soldiers, and the American fighting forces loved them, and Carole loved them back. Despite the horrors of war all around her, Carole managed to find love and marriage while in England.
Miss Carole Landis, star of so many 20th Century Fox productions, now to be seen in Orchestra Wives, had Mitzi Mayfair as a bridesmaid when she was married at the Church of Our Lady of the Assumption in London. Many famous people were present. Kay Francis, for instance, Hal Roach, Martha Raye, and B.B. Daniels. The bridegroom, lucky man, was Captain Thomas Wallace, a fighter pilot. He was with the Eagle Squadron of the RAF until America entered the war, afterwards transferring to the United States Army Air Corps. Good luck to both of them. May they have both happiness and continued success.
Captain Thomas Wallace was a 25-year-old pilot in the Royal Air Force's American Eagle Squadron. While entertaining soldiers in England on November 13, 1942, she met Wallace, and suddenly she was swept away by his good looks and charm. Back in the United States, Wallace was a resident of Pasadena, California, and wasted no time expressing his feelings about Carole, for he too was swept away by, well, everything millions of men were swept away by when it came to the magnificent Miss Carole Landis. Wallace immediately proposed marriage on their first date, and even though having her appendix removed pushed the wedding back 1 week, the couple were married on January 5th, 1943. Unfortunately, the newly married Mr. and Mrs. Wallace were not able to have a honeymoon because Carole had to go to North Africa for the next stage of her tour 3 days after the marriage ceremony. Wallace was stationed overseas for most of the marriage, so they were unable to spend much time together. Carole found the time to write to Wallace every day, but unfortunately, they really did not know each other as well as they thought. He hated her Hollywood life and wanted her to quit her film career. The marriage fell apart, and by October 1944, they decided to separate and were divorced the following year. Once back in Los Angeles, after covering 21,000 miles on her 5-month tour, Carole was escorted to the front door of her Santa Monica home by soldiers from the United States Army. All Carole wanted to do was just sleep after the rugged trip, but after a brief rest period, Hollywood's Glamorous Patriot was right back at the Hollywood studios, on radio, and promoting a book about the tour that she had written. And it did not take long for her to start talking about going back overseas to entertain as soon as possible. In fact, by May 1943, she was already looking to go to Guadalcanal in the South Pacific to entertain the troops of the recently secured island after a brutal 6-month struggle against a fierce Japanese opposition. Before heading off to the Hollywood studios, radio shows, and book signings, Carole received the honor of being the top best-dressed screen star of 1943. Her recent overseas tour was such a success that Carole wrote a popular book about it titled 4 Jills in a Jeep, which was published by Random House and released in early 1944. Hollywood loved it so much that they followed up with a film of the same name starring the original 4 Jills, which was filmed from October to December 1943.
Coming in on a wing and a prayer. Oh, coming in on a wing and a prayer. Well, there's one motor gone, but we can still carry on. Coming in on a wing and a prayer. What a show! What a fight! Yes, we really hit our target for tonight. Oh, how we sing as we limp through the air. Look below, there's our field over there with our full crew aboard, and our trust in the Lord. We're coming in on a wing and a prayer.
All the way down here in the Jeep, you couldn't get to Ted fast enough. Now you want to pin his ears back.
Yeah, with their arms around his neck.
Hi, kids.
Hi,
Hey. Well, for goodness sake.
How about that?
A Christmas tree.
Well,
Bless their hearts.
What do you know, a Christmas tree with things and stuff. Ain't
Yeah.
that sweet?
Say, did either of you see Ted? Ted? Oh, he's still off on a mission.
Yeah, they ain't got back yet. Say, Kay, here's a nice gift for you. Some pipe cleaners. Oh, those characters, kid.
Gee, isn't that wonderful? Gosh, hairpins. When are they due back?
You know, when I was a kid in Brooklyn, we had the biggest Christmas tree. We lived right next door to Prospect Park.
Eddie, answer me.
Huh? Oh, the mission.
Oh, darling, don't start worrying. The fighters are late lots of times, aren't they, Eddie?
Oh, sure, but that don't mean nothing. And we used to stream popcorn.
How long overdue are they?
Oh, hardly at all. They'll be back any minute now.
Yeah, they probably run into a flock of Nazis over the channel, but that won't take them long. There, I told you!
Come on, Eddie. It's a bomber.
Well, I guess I better get over the hall and get the thing started for the show. Don't worry, Miss Landis.
Hey, you know it's cold out here?
You're gonna catch your death, Carol. Come on in. Go on, honey. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride. Come here, kids. Look what I got for you here. Wait a second. Merry Christmas, Carol. Tissues.
Oh, wonderful.
Happy New Year, Martha. Soap.
Oh, just what I needed.
And for little Mitzi here, I got a toothbrush and some paste. With love and kisses.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. Dorsey's starting the show for the boys.
Hey, we better get going.
Yeah.
Hey, Mitz, is my gas mask over there?
No, it's on the shelf above your bed.
Oh.
Can you imagine paying £9 for these boots?
Yeah, a pound a pound. Carol, honey, you stay here. We can keep things going there, and then you come on over when Ted gets here.
No, I'll come along.
Oh, listen, sweet.
Oh, look, I'm not playing the show must go on routine. I'd just rather be there, that's all. When Ted comes, he'll find me.
Okay. Here's your coat.
Thank you.
Take a good look, bud. You're looking at a trio of chicks who've been through the mill. We've been to London, North Africa, we've flown in a plane, all over Brazil. We learned an awful lot from all you fellas,
I'll say.
but there was just one thing no one would tell us. Snafu, what is the meaning of snafu? What's it all about? Can't figure it out. Is it contagious or simply outrageous? Snafu, we hear it everywhere, snafu. Is it like a pill or is it a thrill? Is it a military secret? We asked a Louis who at first was rather formal, and then he laughed and shouted, situation normal. Snafu, the greatest mystery in history. Now fun is fun, but why can't we find anyone to spill a bean? Tell us what snafu means.
It was then off to do more radio shows and films for the tireless Carole Landis.
It's the Frontline Theater. Today, presenting an exciting melodrama, Johnny Eager, starring John Garfield, Carole Landis, and Robert Page.
What brings you here? More homework?
Hardly.
The gentleman I was with tonight became quite intoxicated, excused himself, and wandered away, leaving a bill for $85.
That's okay. I'll take care of it.
Yes, Mr. Rieger.
Oh, won't you sit down, Miss Bard? Oh, this is a friend of mine, Jeff Hartnett. Elizabeth Bard.
I'm glad to know you, Mr. Hartnett.
My pleasure.
Well, as a matter of fact, my sister's boyfriend wants to be put on something else when he comes back from the sea duty he's on now. What do you think he ought to be put on?
After 6 months sea duty, offhand, I'd say put him on a leash.
Nan. Nan, listen.
That's the least you can do.
Nan, listen, why talk about your sister and her sailor when here you are with all these Navy men? You're right, Carol. Gosh, I'd love to go out with one of these flying sailors, but there's one thing that bothers me. I know so little about aviation. What would I say when we're alone?
You want to know what you'd say when you're alone with one of these sailors?
Yes, what would I say?
Help!
Lady Esther presents the Screen Guild Players. The Screen Guild play tonight, George Washington Slept Here. The starring players,
This is Jack Carson.
And this is Carole Landis.
The name of the soap is Lifebuoy. The name of the soap is Lifebuoy.
From Hollywood, the Lifebuoy Show. Starring Lifebuoy's own Bob Burns. With Bob's special guests for tonight, Carole Landis and Dick Haynes.
Don't throw bouquets at me. Don't please my folks too much. Don't laugh at my jokes too much. People will say we're in love.
The Lady Esther Screen Guild play tonight, Designed for Scandal. The starring players,
This is Robert Young.
And this is Carole Landis.
It is the considered opinion of this court that the plaintiff, Adele Blair, is entitled to a divorce. And the court herewith orders the defendant, J.M. Blair, to pay alimony in the sum of $4,000 a month for a period of 5 years. Court dismissed.
Carole was only back from her overseas tour 2 months before she was back in front of the movie cameras once again, starring in Wintertime with her dear friend Cesar Romero and 3-time Olympic figure skater turned actress Sonia Henney. While filming Wintertime for 20th Century Fox in 1943, the 10-man crew of the B-17 bomber Jack the Ripper visited the Hollywood film set to see Carole, who they got to know while she was in London performing for the troops. When the Jack the Ripper crew arrived on the set, Carole ran up and hugged them all, knowing them all by name. And that evening, Carole took the crew out to the popular Sunset Strip nightclub, Ciro's, for dinner. Carole's next film assignment was Secret Command, co-starring Pat O'Brien, and it was filmed from January to early March of 1944 at Columbia Studios. And then it was off to RKO Studios from April 25th to July 1st, 1944, for another film co-starring Pat O'Brien, titled Having Wonderful Crime. In between all of her radio and film work, Carole still found the time to perform at military bases in the United States and visit wounded soldiers in the hospital. A few days after finishing the film Having Wonderful Crime, Carole got her wish to hit the road once again. In the July 7, 1944 edition of the Los Angeles Times, it was announced that Carole Landis was added to the Jack Benny troupe that would consist of a 10-week tour starting in July and ending in September, entertaining troops in some of the most remote and dangerous areas in the South Pacific theater of combat. Joining Carole and Jack Benny were Larry Adler, Martha Tilton, and June Bruner. Jack Benny was an entertainment superstar on radio and in films leading up to this tour. His comedic specialties included being portrayed as very cheap, playing a terrible violin, and claiming to be forever 39 years old. He was 50 years old at the time of this specific tour and was a World War I veteran. Prior to this tour, he entertained troops in Europe and Africa in 1943. Larry Adler was one of the greatest harmonica players of all time. He dazzled crowds with his talents on both the stage and in films, and was part of Jack Benny's group that entertained troops in Europe and in Africa in 1943. Martha Tilton was a popular singer with the Benny Goodman Band in the late 1930s before going off on a successful solo act in the 1940s. Up to this time of the tour, the petite, blue-eyed singer had numerous hit songs to her credit. June Bruner was a very gifted musician that played several instruments, including the piano and accordion. She specialized in swing and boogie-woogie music, which was the top musical sounds during the Second World War. From July 10th to September 15th, 1944, this troupe of 5 performers headed off on one of the most grueling USO tours ever. It covered 30,000 miles of travel and was performed in front of an estimated total of 1 million soldiers. The tour started at Hamilton Field in California, then went on to Hawaii, Canton Island, Tarawa, Guadalcanal, Bougainville, New Guinea, Australia, and any other island that had troops, including going off into remote, dangerous areas of jungle territory. They performed at hundreds of encampments, doing 2 shows almost every day and 3 a day on most weekends, totaling 140 shows, sometimes in muddy, rain-soaked conditions, and usually in terrible heat. The pace of the touring only allowed them about 4 hours of sleep a night. Some of the areas the troupe performed at were surrounded by Japanese troops. It was claimed that those Japanese troops were isolated and starving, and apparently posed no threat as long as they were left alone. The troupe lived just like the soldiers did, and never complained about anything, and enjoyed sharing meals with the fighting forces. When not performing, Carole spent a great deal of time visiting with wounded soldiers and never turned down any soldier's request for a visit. And she also paid her respects to military cemeteries. She kept a journal, which she used to write down the names and addresses of the soldiers she met. After her return to the United States, she wrote hundreds of letters to the soldiers' families. Even cases of malaria and dysentery did not hamper Carole for long, and she was back to performing as soon as possible.
On the way to Australia, there's Miss June Bruner, Carole Landis, Martha Tilton, Larry Adler, and myself.
The routine of the shows was usually the same, and brought laughter and cheers each time over the course of 90 minutes. Jack Benny opened the show with a comedy monologue as master of ceremonies. It was then June Bruner banging away with swing or boogie-woogie tunes on usually an outdated, beaten-up piano or an accordion, and Bruner always brought out cheers and applause every time. And speaking of cheers, Martha Tilton came on wearing a low-cut gown, which brought out more cheers, and then her amazing singing talents were added to completely mesmerize the audience. Larry Adler then brought out his harmonica, and his world-class talents pumped out classical tunes and then boogie-woogie and swing that once again had the crowd cheering. And then, after all that excitement, things really got amped up to a fever pitch that shook the ground when Carole Landis hit the stage wearing a sexy outfit. The soldiers were more than pleased with the vision of Carole cast before them. She sang to standing ovations, told jokes alone or with Jack Benny, and interacted with audience members. Carole then performed a love scene with Benny, whose kiss was apparently so smoldering that it caused her to faint, and then be carried off the stage by a member of the military police. The crowd loved it, but then Carole kicked up the event by inviting soldiers to come up on stage and jitterbug with her. Dancing with more than a dozen soldiers in the tropical heat during such a physical dance form like the jitterbug was eventually took its toll on Carole, so she had to limit her dance partners to only 4 very lucky soldiers who got even luckier because she always ended each jitterbug session with a kiss. Another huge laugh came when Jack Benny brought out his violin to play along with Adler's harmonica or accompany Tilton while she sang. The running gag was that Benny was a terrible violin player, so needless to say, no one wanted to play with him. Benny's sadness in being rejected brought out a roar from the crowd every time. The catch was when Adler finally agreed to allow Benny to accompany him, and Jack Benny then showed that he really could play the violin. The finale came when the entire troupe sang a song together. Whether performing shows in hospitals, outdoor stages, or even in the back of flatbed trucks in remote, sweltering conditions, the troupe gave it their all, and the huge crowds always left satisfied.
And now, fellas, I'm going to present to you one of the most beautiful and glamorous stars that we have in Hollywood, Miss Carole Landis. Well, hello, Carole.
Hello, Jack. Oh, boy, am I winded.
Carole, what's the matter with you? Why are you so out of breath?
Well, I just came over from the mess hall.
The mess hall? Well, that's just a short walk from here.
I know, but it's a fast run with 150 Marines chasing you.
Now, don't be silly, Carole. Marines don't chase after girls.
Oh, no?
No.
Since when a large butterfly net's part of their equipment?
Well, look, Carole, you've got nothing to worry about. The boys here are a nice bunch of fellas. They're just a little playful, that's all. You know, that's all.
You're not kidding. I was supposed to, well, rather, they wanted me to play hide-and-go-seek with them. I was supposed to hide, and then they'd try to find me, but I turned them down.
Well, why don't you play with them? You used to enjoy hide-and-go-seek when you were a kid, didn't you?
Yes, but when I was a kid, we didn't play finders-keepers. But anyway, Carole, you got away from those Marines, didn't you? Yes. Oh, Landis, you fool girl, you.
Well, don't worry about it, Carole. Maybe next time you'll stumble.
I did this time, and they picked me up and gave me another head start.
They are really jungle jolly, if that's the case, huh? Anything else happen?
Yes. When we got here yesterday, one of the Navy pilots told me he'd show me how to fly a plane. So we went up for 2 hours.
Did you learn anything?
Plenty. But I'd still like to know how to fly a plane.
Now, look, wait a minute, Carole. He didn't take you up without an instructor, did he?
That guy didn't need one.
I see.
Carole Landis truly left her mark on the fighting forces throughout this South Pacific tour, bringing joy and smiles to soldiers battling the enemy and missing home. The struggles to secure islands in the South Pacific was brutal for the American fighting forces. Each victory allowed the United States to get one step closer to taking away all the territory once dominated by Japan. And shortly after each victory was declared, Carole Landis and her 4 other troop members were there to put on shows, much to the thrill of everyone. Carole Landis brought joy to millions of soldiers, and she signed her autograph countless times. And it was on one of those occasions that served as the inspiration for this documentary. My uncle, Staff Sergeant Eugene Wild, standing far right, was a gunner aboard the B-24 bomber Wishful Thinkin' in the South Pacific. On his 10th mission, an engine blew out while heading off to bomb a Japanese oil refinery. My uncle was blown out of the plane and thrust into heavy enemy anti-aircraft fire. He was one of only 4 out of 10 crew members to survive, and while recovering from severely broken bones, he met Carole Landis on one of her hospital visits. She signed a roll of foreign paper currency my uncle glued together, and it was that signature that sparked my interest in Carole Landis so many years ago. My favorite relative? and my favorite Hollywood glamour girl merged into a perfect union. This nose art is a recreation of one painted on a plane flown in the South Pacific. Its likeness is that of Carole Landis. Special thanks goes out to Chad Matthew Hill for sharing his amazing recreation, and to Jason Stedry and James Gray for photos provided of the original plane signed by Carole during her South Pacific tour. After her second overseas USO tour, Carole Landis was back in the United States by late September of 1944. Within 1 year following Carole's South Pacific tour, the United States Fighting Forces forged a path to victory in Europe and the Pacific theaters of combat. Finally, after 4 long years of sacrifice on both battlefields and the home front, by August 1945, America reigned victorious.
The Red Schoolhouse at Reims, France, as peace is signed with German General Jodl acting for the remnants of the Nazi government. Jodl, for a few hours, was the chief of staff of the German army, while de Fuhrer's successor, Admiral Dönitz, was strangely missing. This is the news that electrified the world: unconditional surrender.
I deem this reply a full acceptance of the Potsdam Declaration, which specifies the unconditional surrender of Japan. In the reply, there is no qualification. Arrangements are now being made for the formal signing of the surrender terms at the earliest possible moment. General Douglas MacArthur has been appointed the Supreme Allied Commander to receive the Japanese surrender.
Carole Landis gave tirelessly of herself to help the war effort, covering over 125,000 miles, touring overseas and stateside military bases and hospitals. It was the most area covered by any Hollywood actress, and she should always remain an endearing individual in American pop culture and in both Hollywood and military history. The experience of bringing this story to the public was truly an honor, and hopefully it gives insight into this stunning, multi-talented actress that could act in comedy and drama, sing and dance, bring joy to millions in military service, and all the while remain humble with unlimited warmth. Jack Benny summed it up best after his South Pacific tour with her by stating, "You soon forgot she was Carole Landis, the Hollywood star, because she was a real human being with a warm heart."
My ten-up dress, if it will bring you happiness, all my charms for you unfurl. Ten-up girl, you've all embraced me. I'm your dream, your gay mirage. Many eyes have sweetly faced me. I am yours for tax or pins or mule solage.